Hello and welcome to the Bluebird Box. This is my knitting podcast where I talk about my knitting life, all the things I've knitted, all the things I am knitting, and all the things that I'm dreaming about knitting. Welcome. So it's been a while from my last podcast, and I have so many things to share. I've been knitting a lot. It seems like I either have a lot of knitting time and no podcasting time, or I have podcasting time and no knitting time. I'm not sure how that works. I think it has to do with how many road trips we take and how much card knitting I have. But this summer has been really busy and really wonderful, and now all the kids are back in school except for one. I have 4 children and one is 4 years old and starts preschool next week. So she's the only one home today, and I feel like I can finally get my brain wrapped around what I need to be doing, and I've caught up this week to all the things that have been piling up over the summer. So I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad that you are here, that I can share all these things with you. So my last podcast was in June when I released a knitting pattern, and I didn't really update you on any projects then. So I have a lot to share because my last real podcast where I shared all my knitting was in May. So it's been 4 months since my last real podcast. So I have quite a few finished objects to share and quite a few things that I've cast on since then, and also things that I plan or hoped to be knitting soon. So this is the stack of things that I'm going to be talking about. I can't show all of them or discuss them all in detail because some of them are things that I have submitted to, well, there's just one that's been submitted and accepted to a magazine, so I can't tell you about that one. And another one, I'm not really sure what I'm doing with it. I have submitted it, and it has not been accepted, but I might submit it again to other things, so I can't talk to you about that one. And then, so these are the ones that I will get to chat with you about. So we'll start off with I think this was the first one that I cast on, but I'm not 100% sure of the order. This cast on was inspired by Knitted by Whitney, who posted a video on YouTube sharing all her favorite size inclusive free patterns. And while I was watching that, there are so many beautiful designs in there, and she mentioned the Classic by Espastrico, which is a sweater pattern I've known about and had in my queue for a long time, and I realized that I had yarn that would work for that design, so I immediately cast it on. So it is a top-down raglan with some compound raglan shaping. That means that it's not just a straight line of increases, that there's sort of like a different ratio of increases along the edges of the raglan. And there's a mock turtleneck, and it goes down to a split hem. It's quite oversized. The sleeves are supposed to go straight down and just end very wide, which is not my preference for sleeves, so I did a quick decrease to create sort of like it's not really a balloon because it's just straight, but then it just does a quick cinch in at the end for that like mini puff sleeve look. I enjoyed knitting this. It is made in Onion Yarns Merino Mohair blend. It's a fingering to sport weight, I believe. I think I did this at a more sport weight gauge. The only problem is, like, I love the color and everything. The only problem is that the wool is quite itchy for me. I actually am quite sensitive to wool, and I have sort of desensitized myself over time to scratchier wools, but mohair I still find very itchy and uncomfortable around my neck. And even I think I'm allergic to alpaca because Surrey alpaca makes my throat itch. But I think I would find it better if the neck was not a mock turtleneck, if it was folded. So I might fold it down and tack it, sew it to the inside loosely. But it is like very uncomfortable now, and I cannot see myself making it through the day with that on my neck. So that's a bit of a bummer, but I will try to find a way so that I can wear this. Otherwise, yeah, I'm quite happy with it. So that's finished object number 1. Number 2, I believe, is this, the Always vest. This is my own pattern. I had already done a sample of this for the pattern release, but then I also wrote up the Evermore vest, which is like a sort of like a masculine version of this. It's not cropped. It doesn't have waist shaping like this one does. So I needed more yarn in order to finish the sample of the Evermore vest. So I actually ripped out my original sample. There was some problems with the original sample anyway, so I did want to reknit it. So it wasn't like it was perfectly good and I decided to just destroy it. So I ripped it out and knit this one. This one is with a strand of Custom Woolen Mills 1-ply, that much I know, which is just a pure single strand of Rambouillet. And then the other one is, it was the Cascade Eco DK, which is kind of a heathered, it has variation in the yarn itself, plus with the white that I held it with, it creates a heathered look. So yeah, quite happy with that one. I find it's actually more usable, this shape of vest, than I would have thought. And then I think this is the next one that I finished, which is this is a self-drafted kids button-up cardigan. My daughter and I went to Yarn Divas right for their soft opening back in May or April. I think it was April. And I told my daughter she could pick out any skein she wanted, and she picked out this one, this red tonal. Sorry, everything is very wrinkled because it's just been, like this one was in the laundry waiting to be washed. But this yarn has leaked terribly the first time I washed it, so now I'm not really sure what to do with it. I was told, Kim of Ginger Snap Yarns told me that I should heat it up with vinegar and let it set, and that would like set the dye better. But now I've put on these beautiful wooden buttons, and I think that if I heated it up, the water, that would wreck the buttons. So not really sure how to wash this now, but it was quite the bloodbath when I washed it the first time. Yeah, so I just self-drafted this little t-shirt cardigan for her. It took up one skein, almost exactly one skein, because I worked it top down. I could just keep going until I ran out of yarn. And actually these three lace, there's 3 different lace panels there. This is like a test of your knitting skill, if you can see the difference, or your knitting experience. And I was just trying to see which one I liked better. I think I ended up preferring this one here. I can't remember now. Haven't looked at it in a while. It's been in the laundry. So yeah, she's quite happy with it and keeps asking me when she gets to wear it again. So I really need to figure out how to wash it. Yeah, it's a pretty simple raglan. I think I did compound raglan shaping, which really is not necessary when you're doing like a little kid's cardigan. They don't have a lot of, like, the compound really helps more if you have a difference between your neck and your bust, a big difference. But that was probably not necessary. And I also added short rows to the shoulders. That helps push the neckline in the sides, just at the shoulder part, so that it makes like a nice shape there. Yeah, that's that one. Oh, and these wooden buttons, I think are a pear tree stick. And they were from Riverstone Yarns, which I just saw on Instagram is selling their business, so that's too bad. I think she said her dad makes these buttons. Thought they were really cute. I think I got those at the Prairie Fiber Festival a couple years ago. Okay, and then this one, if you've been watching this podcast, you've seen this before, so I won't talk about it very much. This is the Seed Star tank, the cropped version, which has also been stuffed into a closet. And I cast on and finished that one since my last real podcast. And then I got really inspired to start knitting bags. I feel like this might be something I want to do more. They're quick and easy and take very little yarn, and the great thing is that they are they're usable no matter what size they turn out. So if you are a new knitter and you're having trouble keeping your gauge consistent, you will still be able to use a bag, unlike a hat or a cowl more so, but even a cowl, if it's really big around, like if you're knitting it in the round, it gets floppy and then doesn't actually work to keep you warm, or kind of flops and doesn't look very put together. So yeah, so I started knitting some bags. So this is the Carrick's Market bag. It is not a pattern yet, although I am writing it up right now. I'll put some, maybe I'll put some skeins in there. It has these baubles, which are part of the Carrick's hat pattern, which is a pattern that you can buy on Ravelry. And I started this one from the bottom up, and then you increase and then work up, decrease a little bit and decrease for the handle. You bind off these stitches and then immediately cast them back on. So if you follow me on Instagram and told me that I should develop that pattern, that's why it's in writing. So this one was made with I don't have any labels. That's too bad. It is a cotton and wool blend, and I think it's from Estelle, and I got it from Statement Junkie. Oh, here's the label. Here we go. Okay, so it's Eco Harmony worsted. And this is just like a white, I'm not sure of that color. This ball band is from another, this one's Goldenrod of the same yarn. Yeah, what else can I tell you about this? So the seed head baubles are worked by knitting below the stitch and making a whole bunch of strands and then looping those strands over the live stitch. They're pretty fun to do. And this one in the same, see, it's mostly reverse stockinette, so if you knit with the purl side out, or yeah, facing you, you would have to purl. But instead have written the pattern, just like the Carrick's hat is this way too. The you work it with the right side facing up to the last seed head bobble, and then you work a short row so that you can just knit with the inside facing you, and you knit and knit and knit until this part, and then you do another short row and turn it inside out and have the right side facing you again for the twisted ribbing. So there's twisted ribbing on the top and twisted ribbing on the bottom, and the rest is reverse stockinette, and there's garter stitch on the bottom. So it involves some picking up stitches along the edge of this garter square, and yeah, not super complicated, but there are some unusual techniques in that one. So I will hopefully have that written up soon and ask for some quick testers and have a quick turnaround. And then after that one, I really wanted to make a backpack. So my daughter picked out a skein of this shoot. It's called A Color Story Yarns. This is the problem with not podcasting very often, is I never have ball bands left. Anyway, it was on sale at Statement Junkie, so it's probably not even a colorway that you can really get, but it is this highly speckle variegated yarn with pink and blue and neon yellow in it. So I did the same kind of bottom-up construction, and it is in the same stitch as a Lenox pullover, but this side has the like bubble part facing out with the lattice diamond part on the inside. Although you could decide if I ever write this pattern, there would be the potential to decide if you wanted it inside or right side or wrong side facing. Like it could be reversible until you sew the straps down. So I did these straps with some scrap yarn, fingering weight yarn I had. So this one is fingering weight. The last one was worsted weight. And yeah, I made the straps as I-cord straps. I did them 2 at a time, which was really, made it really go fast for I-cords. And then there are eyelets in the top here that you string these through. So you sew them at the bottom of the backpack, and then you string them through these eyelets there. And then you tie the 2 straps at the front of the bag, and this creates your drawstring. So you never have to tie anything or untie anything, which is great for, this is for my daughter, so that's great for her. She's 7. So when you wear it, it cinches itself up, and then when you take it off, you just open it and it pulls those back straps in, and then when you wear it again, you just tighten it. Yeah, so I made that one, and then of course it only took maybe 50, 55 grams. Oh, probably even less. I think maybe 45 grams of that fingering weight skein. And then my other daughter, who's 4, wanted one for herself, so I made her one, but this time with the lattice stitch outside. So this was kind of a test to see how the lattice stitch worked with variegated, very highly colorful yarn. I honestly don't love it, so I probably would stick with more of like a soft tonal for anything with that stitch pattern. So yeah, I did her straps with this same yarn as the bag, and yeah, same idea. So now they have little matching knitted backpacks, which are so cute. They just carry their stuffies around with the head poking out here. So I really like that design, and I probably will write it up one day when I have a moment. It's just not a priority right now, and then I would make it so that there was a couple sizes so that they'd be more usable for bigger people. That's all the finished objects I have. I have some other works in progress that I am working on at the moment. So first off, since we were talking about bags, I cast on another Carrick's Market bag just to test my pattern. There's my pattern. I like to, if it's a small project like that, I definitely like to write it up and then try it out again, because there's lots of things that I think work out while writing it, or I've missed a step, or you know, things have been missed that I just need give people little tips. So I like to do that before I send it to testers. This is in my Isabel Gosselin backpack. I do not remember what it is called. I think I have kept the tag in here so that I think it's utilitaire. Yeah, that's what it is, with the backpack option. It's one of my favorite bags. And yeah, so I've just done the bottom bit. I'm working the ribbing until the start of the seed head stitch pattern. And that is in this goldenrod color from Eco Harmony, Estelle Eco Harmony worsted. And then I have also started a Scrappy cardigan. So I have had this idea for a very long time. It is in my another knitting backpack. This one is from JJ Wool Company out of Edmonton. They take thrifted and used wool fabrics and felt them down and then cut them and make them into pouches. And I have another pouch that's from them that's a sweater that they felted. It's really cool. It's a colorwork sweater. I don't have it here. This is the backpack. My parents got this for me for my birthday. My mother is very good at gift giving and she's very sneaky. So we were at the Edmonton Fiber Frolic and I was drooling over this backpack and I bought the little bag. That was all I could afford that day, and I left this behind, and somehow she went back and bought it for my birthday, which was 3 months later, and snuck it out like her and I were together the whole time. I don't know how I missed what she was carrying. She's very sneaky. So anyway, I've had this idea for a Scrappy cardigan that uses fingering weight scraps held double, and you marl them together I will just try and talk and knit so I can get to the end of this row. So you marl them together, and then you can use up all your little sock yarn scraps to make a sweater. So I have never done a drop shoulder sweater before, like designed it, I mean. Honestly, actually, I don't think I've ever knit one. I don't think I have. I don't really like wearing drop shoulder sweaters, so that's probably why I never have knit one, because that's a lot of time commitment if it's not going to work out. I have pretty broad shoulders. I'm quite tall, so my frame is wide, wider than it might seem on video. I'm 5'10", so yeah, I feel like I have broad shoulders, so a drop shoulder design just seems to make that more pronounced. So I don't usually wear them, but I wanted to do this simple garter cardigan, and so I don't appreciate raglan cardigans because they fall off my shoulders, and circular yokes do this thing where they like flare kind of funny. They don't sit correctly, and I didn't want to do, anyway, I wanted to make the design very simple so that somebody who is new to sweater making wouldn't be thrown off by like a set and sleeve design. So I'm trying to do this drop shoulder, and having never done it before, there's no promises, but so far it's looking pretty good. I'm loving the marling of the yarn, and I'll show you how I organized my yarn in order to do that too. Okay, got a few more stitches here. So it's a mixture of superwash scraps and non-superwash, and a variety of thicknesses from lace non-superwash to fingering weight superwash. Okay, so it is, here's the front of it. Here's the other side. So it's worked seamlessly from the top down, and I cast on these stitches here and then increased the back, the shoulder, and the front all simultaneously, then split for sleeves and worked those down separately, and now I've gone back to joining to work the whole thing in the round. So it should sit like, see if I can do that without putting my arms in it pretty sure my stitches will all come off if I put my arms through the armholes. Let's just do one. Oh, I've already lost some stitches. So like that. That's how it will sit. And then at the very end, I plan to do quite a big wide collar down. So it'll be like almost like a house coat vibe. And the sleeves will be picked up and worked in the round, probably in reverse stockinette, but inside out so you can knit, of course. Oh dear. I definitely not only lost stitches but pulled out some stitches. Okay. So this is not like a, these are all different yarns from different dyers, and they are not like coordinating, like they didn't come from a kit or anything. I just picked all my fingering weight scraps out, and I had some mini skein sets too. I got some from the Yak Yarnery in Rocky Mountain House when I was able to go there in person, and she had this amazing spring set. I think I have used most of them. It was called, hold on. It was called Spring Fever. Here's a couple of them left. I've already used the pink and the brownish one, and I think there was a blue maybe. Oh, here's another one that was part of that set. There was a pink and light brownish, or a yellow maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, it was really nice. So there was a few mini skein sets, and I had some random mini skeins too. So anyway, all that to say, I just put them in a pile, and then I picked out all the light colored ones and put them in a bag. And I picked out the medium toned ones. So it doesn't have anything to do with color, it's just like color value, the saturation. And then I put one of dark. So I've worked through the light one already. I'm not sure if I'm going to use this one, I haven't decided yet. And now I'm working into the medium tone colors, and I'm just going to keep going into dark, so it'll sort of be like a fade, and then see what I have left for sleeves. I'm trying to conserve some of the lighter colors, but I'm not too worried about it. I think if you have dark sleeves, it actually looks nice. So I'm not too worried about like keeping the light to dark consistent on the sleeves. So yeah, it's super enjoyable. Right now all I'm doing is knitting every row, slipping the first stitch and knitting every row, so it's really mindless, but it still has the interest of changing colors every 4 to 6 to 10 rows. So I'm finding it really enjoyable. It's going really quickly. I just cast it on like 4 days ago. So it's been going quick. And then this is in my little Longview Creations rooster bag. I got that from Yak Yarnery. She has like a sheep one and some other animals. I had to go with the rooster in honor of our own rooster, Furry Feet. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show this one. It's a yarn support design from the Fiber Co, and I emailed them to ask if I was allowed to share any of it on any of my social media and they didn't answer me yet, so I will just show you a little bit of the reverse side. You can't see it. And I won't tell you anything about it. But it's very small needles and a lot of yarn, so that will be a long-term project for next summer's release. And I think that's it for works in progress. And then lovely Erin from the Yak Yarnery gave me a couple of DK skeins in her I Am Canadian. This is DK Yak Merino Silk, and this is the I Am Canadian color. So I'm thinking of making a very elaborate cabled hat. I haven't decided on a design yet. Like, I'm not going to design it, I mean I haven't decided on a pattern to use. There's one by Abby Knits called Twist Up. It's a DK cabled hat pattern. I might do that one. Some lovely people gave me some suggestions on Instagram, so yeah, I have some options. If you know of a DK weight cabled hat, like the more elaborate the better. I've never made a cabled hat before. I have designed one with like tiny cables, but yeah, I kind of want to go all out with this beautiful color. So the more cables the better, the more kinds of cables in one hat pattern the better. If you have any thoughts, or if you want to cast on a cable hat at the same time, maybe we could do like a little informal cable hat knit along, probably over on Instagram. Yeah, I think I'm really excited about this one. I think it will be like so beautiful in the snow. Yeah. So check out the Yak Yarnery. This is one that Erin dyes for her store, like their in-house brand. And honestly, I could make something in every one of her colors. They're all, I think the Yak has like a gray tone base, so they're all this subtle, rich. They'll have that like depth and complexity that you might not get with a white based yarn. Okay, I'll check my notes and see what I'm missing. So there have been a lot of new knitting podcasts that have started up, and I'm sure that you too have been discovering new ones all the time. I just wanted to mention a couple. Kel's Knits is an Australian living in Germany. I had the pleasure of having her as a test knitter for the Seed Star tank, and I really enjoy her vibe and all the things that she makes, so you should check her out. And also Athena from the Seedling Stitch is a Vancouverite who has just started to learn to knit within the last year, and I really like the way that she looks at things and thinks about things and explains things, and she's just making huge strides in her knitting and has already started pattern designing, so I would recommend that podcast also. There's also been a bunch of podcasts I've been watching from the Netherlands, so I thought I would just like make a little category of those, and I'll put that at the end. And finally, there's the Great Canadian Wool Along is happening now. Was started by Songbird Yarn, Songbird. I cannot remember what their link and what their name is on Instagram, but I'll put it below. And it's a knit along celebrating all things Canadian wool, and focusing on Canadian wool for fiber crafts. So I'd recommend checking that out. I've also provided a discount for my patterns to that knit along. So if you sign up, you can access 30% off my pattern store, and there's a lot of other amazing designers that have provided some discounts too, and there's lots of prizes, so I would recommend that. A little bit of shop news. I have the Evermore vest that is really ready for release. I just have to edit some photos and kind of promote it a little bit more, so I'm hoping to have it released next Thursday, which I think is the 9th, or the 8th, but we'll see. So keep an eye out on the newsletter or on my Instagram for more information about that. I think that's all I have today for my first podcast in 4 months, but I'm really glad that you stuck it out if you're still here at the end. Thanks for being here, for watching. All of your comments are so kind and encouraging, and there have been some lovely people who have encouraged me to keep going on this journey, and honestly I don't think I would be still here making these if it wasn't for that kind of encouragement. So I really appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful September, that you can cast all the things on that you have been dreaming of all summer long, and take care until I see you again, and keep on knitting. Bye.